Hello and welcome. You are watching Talk to Addis program in AMN plus English program. I am your host, Abdullah Burhani. In our program today, we'll be staying with Mr. Nahum Bakala, who is an expert in the tourism sector. Do stay with us. Welcome, Mr. Nahum, to our program.
We'll stay.
Okay, so before we just begin or dive into our discussion, I will give you the chance to introduce yourself. Tell us a bit about yourself.
Well, my name is Nahum Bakala, and I'm a tourism expert for the last 21 years, from the junior expert up to having my own company named Pleasure Ethiopia Tour and Travel. And also, I'm also the founder of Talak Ethiopian Tour Operators Association and Ethiopian Tourism Professionals Association. And there are a lot more also, but this is good enough for now.
Thank you. Thank you very much. First question, what inspired you to dive or to just embark on this tourism sector? And tell us about that. What motivated you?
The one thing, it's by chance that I joined the tourism industry. I was just searching for a job after graduating from accounting, but then I saw this notice for tour and travel department at the earlier CTTI, Catering and Tourism Training Institute, the current Tourism Training Institute. So it was only for 2 years. Since it had some pocket money, I wanted to use that. But once I start the education, it's very, very interesting to get to know Ethiopia, its history, culture, geography, and all of this. So I get immersed, and here I am today.
Okay, so now you find yourself a tourist as well, an ambassador of your country.
Both.
Yeah. What are the challenges once you have joined the tourism sector? Maybe being from the outsider, now you have joined the tourism sector, you have been there for 20 plus years, you know the nitty-gritty of the nuts and shells of everything. So tell us the challenge, so then we would come up with some likely solutions that you have been forwarding as well. Which ways out of those challenges?
Yeah, the biggest challenge for Ethiopia is the image. The image. It's what we say is the known unknown, because it has a big potential, what everybody craves to see and to have, but we haven't capitalized it to use it and to maximize it for the outside world to experience it. The biggest problem is mitigating or tackling those negative images that Ethiopia has by the outside world. We know what we have, we know our pride, but we didn't sell it in a way that is expected to be sold on the international market. And the other is the way people understand about tourism and its benefits. That's the internal challenge. Even though there are different ways to minimize that, there's a good progress to that, but still that's one of the challenges we face, the awareness among the stakeholders from the private and government and even the community at the destinations throughout the country. So those are the big challenges. And facilitating the interests of the tourists as well as the business people like tour operators and others. Those needs to be interrelated and integrated, and has to come with the way forward to harmonize both ways, the interests of the government and the private sector, so that all roads will lead to Ethiopia. So those are the things that we really want to maximize. In a way, all the activities would be seamless and flawless, so that the word of mouth to Ethiopia, that it's the best destination, can be what everybody can talk about it.
Good. I think it's good to have a background, the evolution of tourism in Ethiopia. Maybe it might be related with Ethiopian Airlines, when flights have been, commenced or like that, or there are some mottos, 30 months of sunshine and other kinds of things, I think. So let's talk about where did it really begin and how it's evolving, and these current day challenges. There are solutions, I think, ways we can just tackle or mitigate the problems. So I would be very much interested if you're talking about these things.
Yeah, officially the tourism activities were on a state level launched during the Emperor Haile Selassie time, but before it was in a bit of by travelers getting some permit papers from the emperor or higher officials, going from place to place for free. But then, since the people living at the roadside were having issues entertaining or hosting any travelers, so it was designed in a way that anyone who uses something, who consumes something from the people, should pay accordingly. And then gradually, during the emperor time, this tourism was established at the commission level, and it was going very good. And it was at that time the 30 Months of Sunshine motto was released by His Excellency Hato Habte Selassie Tafasa. He's what we call the father of Ethiopian tourism. And while it was going very smooth, there was a revolution during the communist time for the last 17 years. That was the dark time for Ethiopian tourism. So the 30 Months of Sunshine was not that much used, even though there was a bit of activity, but it was not to the level that it was being promoted during the emperor time. So after the downfall of the Derg, the industry was boomed again. Many private companies start to operate. It was only NTO, National Tour Operators, the sole government entity that was doing the tourism activities, except a few, 3 or 4 private companies. But after, during the EPRDF, it was the private sector, the business entity was mobilized in a good way. So what we have today, hundreds of tour operators, have came afterwards. And the way it evolved, so there are parts that we miss, we wish to continue in a way where it was during the emperor time, even though the technological advancements are better today, but the way how to use the strategies, the systems and everything, even though it's there on the document, the implementation process is not to the level of that is expected. So here we are today with a very good, vibrant things to see around the country, and better facilities, infrastructures, and different things, added value facilities in all the areas. But still, there are challenges as well, especially even though there was also a challenge during the requirement, because one of the requirements were to bring a vehicle, to have a permit or license. And there were professional groups who didn't have the capacity to buy cars, but were able to prosper with their profession. So what's the point of learning and dedicating their years of accumulating their experience if they're not able to have the license? So that was one of the challenges. There was a moment that 4 cars were needed for the new entrants, and the law was, they were trying to pull it back so that everyone who was the existing ones who had license without car, to have 4 cars again to renew their license. That was the big challenge, and it took us about 2 years of debating with the ministry. So they finally understood, and they minimized it to 1. We asked for 0, which is also on the process, especially for the professionals. For the investors, it's okay to have 1 car. But professionals are ambassadors who can really and truly promote the country and also keep the positive image of the country, and also to do what they are expected to do. So here we are today, passing all those tourism evolution, starting to continue to prosper. And the COVID was one of the biggest challenging time, because there were many who struggled to sustain their business. There are some who closed their company. There are some who sold some of their properties to sustain their employees. And there are also some who are asked to pay unprecedented taxes, so they are staying still. There are some who are keeping their license but unable to renew because of the tax question that they have. So still, those are the things that are still tying the hands behind the tour operators' hands. Some of them. There are some who survived.
I see. So anyways, with all these challenges, still it seems that the tourism is just going forward.
Yes, going forward.
Yeah. So let's come to the next question. Have you noticed any new trends of visitor preferences these days? What do the visitors, as far as your experience is concerned, what are the trends of visitors' preferences? Where do they want to go, majority of the visitors? Or have you made some study or research as to where they would like to visit parts of Ethiopia? And why is that so? Is that lack of awareness? Or is that, I don't know, is that due to promotion made ahead of time? Why that's so? Let's talk about those things.
There are many factors about the interest of the tourists who want to go where. It depends, because our interest, what we do is keeping the interest of the clients. So whenever they come with a question that they want to visit this, we entertain that. Or some who are ignorant but really want to visit Ethiopia in general, whether they have it in their bucket list or so, we inform them what's the best things to see from nature, culture, and history. These are the basic things that we recommend. But most they love the historic circuit, including Harar, because that's the one Ethiopia is mostly known for, especially the obelisks in Aksum, the medieval city of Gondar and Lalibela, and the monasteries in Bahar Dar. These are what we call the historic circuit, including Harar, the walled city. And some from the culture perspective, the Omo Valley, even though there are all cultural perspectives in all even within the historical circuits, but typically the indigenous unspoiled cultural activities, they prefer to go to the southern and Omo Valley circuits. And for the to tap the nature part, the Bale area and Semin Mountains, we highly recommend those. Those are the highlights if anyone asks for the natural or historical or cultural activities. So our aim is to add, even if they ask a few questions, we have this much days, and what do you recommend? So we try to add a mix of, or a combined, what we call it the combined tour package. So we propose all those. So, and then they will have a chance to select according to their interest. Then we'll have a good view of what they want from our proposals. So that's how we entertain them. And whenever they request something, it's mostly because we want to tap them, even if they don't have that much of an interest or an awareness about some of the sites, we kind of put a highlight as an end note. If you are interested, there is also these things to explore. So we kind of give a hint, either to come back for next time or to combine these things.
You know, if I happen to be a first-time traveler, if I want to see 3 must-see places, what would you recommend?
I would recommend first Lalibela. Because it's called the second Jerusalem, one, and second, it's the one that the world gets surprised because of its monolithic structure, carved out of a single rock, and it's cross-shaped, Greek cross-shaped, and it's for everyone. I think it's the Portuguese visitor, traveler, who expressed it. If I say something about it, no one will believe it unless you go and see it. So I might not be correct of the right words of what he wrote. But so that's one thing I would recommend, the first. And the other is to explore few places in South or Omo Valley, like 3 days or so. And then either Bali Mountains or Semin Mountains. So these three combines, like I mentioned earlier, history, nature, and culture. So among these, they have a chance to dig more about what we propose. But these are the things that I would recommend.
Good. Let's come to the various tourist sites which are underway or under construction here in Addis Ababa or in different parts of Ethiopia. There is what the government says, basket for the nation kind of initiative, or bounty of basket for the nation kind of initiative. So in that initiative, many tourism places or tourist areas are being constructed or renovated, like Gorgora. So how do you see the contribution of this, the renovation of tourist sites or tourist places and the construction of new tourist sites and their supervision under Skylight Hotel? What value would it have? How do you see it as a tourism expert? What can you say in this regard?
It's a very good question. It's a great contribution that this mega project is being constructed in Ethiopia. And it adds up to the facilities that we used to say we are lacking these big facilities, big lodges, and so and so. So having this is a plus for Ethiopia as a nation, and also for each destinations that these facilities are built. And it's because of these facilities that recently, when the 10 years IGAD Sustainable Tourism Master Plan was established, and the PM was champion for the coming 3 years. So these facilities, it's because of these contributions that Ethiopia as a nation became champion for the IGAD region. So it's not only for this region, but also comparing to other countries. It gives it a good chance to become a very good competitiveness with the other countries. And when we come to the operational activities, as a stakeholder, we wish we were invited to see after it was completed at the inaugurations. And at the beginning, we have no clue how it was going to manage, how much is the price, and so and so. So now we know it's under Skylight. And there is a trend that we are accustomed to. When we deal with other hotels, they have the rack rates and corporate rates. But in this case, it's only the rack rate that the Skylight is giving to the tour operators also. So not having a discounted rate will make it a bit of a challenge for us to sell these destinations. And we don't know whether they have other related facilities like rooms, other discounted rate for guides or drivers. And at some of the sites, if there are no other facilities, basic facilities in the area, it will be hard for the other actors in the value chain, like drivers and guides, to accommodate in those places. It will make the price very high and makes, in general, Ethiopia an expensive destination. So having this connotation in expensive destination, it has different factors to to disbenefit the nation, because other countries, they play a very strategic system in their pricing activities. So I don't think we are following that as well. So if, I'm sure they will listen this conversation, and they will shape their approach towards the tour operators and others.
Hopefully.
Yeah.
This will be an input for them as well, because it's
be.
good so far, or as far as image building is concerned, we have to really care about what you're saying. So I think let's just move to the next one. Many visitors began or commenced their journey here in Addis Ababa. Addis Ababa is a gateway for everything. Yes. So what do you think they would have stayed here, so they might just embark on city tourism? Let's talk about those things. Addis Ababa is becoming, a conference city for these days. It's entertaining many international conferences. We are witnessing that. Yes. So in terms of conference tourism and city tourism, the potential that Addis Ababa has is, inevitable. It's, we could say that it's demanding. So if all those tourists, when they just commence their journey here in Addis Ababa, what should be visited? Would you recommend the hidden gems that they overlook all the time in their visits? Tell us about those things. And then I want you as well to tell us about, the conference and the city tourism that Addis Ababa has, and maybe if there are challenges or if there are unseen kind of opportunities that the government should consider as a professional, your reflection in this regard.
Very good. Everyone begins from Addis. Yeah. So as a procedure also, visiting Addis is the highlight of Ethiopia. Even those who doesn't have any time, who comes for a conference and leaves at the end, with the limited time they have, they see a bit of the city. So the National Museum is one of the things that they visit because of its huge artifacts and treasures and a lot of collections. So that's the one thing that we don't miss. There are different parks that are opened now. We also recommend those, but most of the tourists, even if we recommend, we also are bound with their interest. Some, they only need to see Lucy, which is National Museum, or in relation with the Emperor Haile Selassie, the Ethnographic Museum, the one that was the Addis Ababa University, and Ntoto Mariam, yeah. Church. Yeah, that's where the huge treasures of Emperor Menelik, his small thatched roof palace, and a lot of history, where the Battle of Adwa was decided there. That's a great historical place as well. And along the road also, we explore historical monuments and statues like the Victory Monument around Arat Kilo, the Martyrs Monument around Sudus Kilo, and the Menelik statue at Piazza or Arada. Yeah, all these things are a must-do. And the one hidden gem that we have is the Mercato, which is the grand market in Africa. So the very interesting part in that part is the spice market, where you can walk through a very crowded place. It's like a maze, going there and interacting with the local people, vendors, spices. You might end up sneezing with the berbere and so. So those parts are what they are very interested, because the open air market is not common in other countries, as you see, except some African countries. But those coming from Europe or other countries, they are very interested. Sometimes they get scared with the crowd, but we have to give them a bit of polish for that. And recently, the new opened the Unity Park, where you can see the black maned lion, which is endemic, to see that, you have to go as far as Bali or Harana Forest. Those who doesn't have all that time, they can see at the Unity Park. And the Egg Palace within the Unity Park. So it takes about 3 hours all in all, end to end. So these things are highly recommended. And the recent one, the National Palace, which is the new one, the renovated one, all the contemporary luxury vehicles of the Emperor Haile Selassie and his treasures and gifts from all over the world. That's something to see as well. But all these, having all these things or sites, it helps the visitors to stay more, to explore more. So their duration in Ethiopia in general and in Addis in particular can be maximized because of offering these sites. But again, we're bounded with their interest. We offer what we have and they pick what they want. And to add one, there was a process to make the Kolfe training camp where Nelson Mandela was trained, military camp. So I don't know to what stage it is, but there was a lot of demand for that because that's the one thing that Ethiopia is known for, recognizing Mandela when he came here, staying for 6 months, and all the related story about it. So having that, using that as a destination where he was staying, how he was training, what he was training, by whom he was training. So it's like in a small simulation room or keeping where he was staying as a dedicated visiting space. So that would be something to add for the history of African independence and also for the whole other people who likes to know the history of Africa in general. And Ethiopia's contribution for the freedom of the African nation.
Definitely right, you are.
So that is something I highly recommend to proceed quickly.
Of course, you are right. Because Nelson Mandela is known as a freedom fighter. So Ethiopia, this really highlights the contribution of Ethiopia for freedom. Liberation of African countries highly related with Ethiopia. So even in the modern day, after gaining their independence, in avoiding apartheid, Ethiopia has played a great role through the mentorship that it provided to Nelson Mandela, and Nelson Mandela has given his own witness as well. Sure. Of course. Long walk to freedom. He has already stipulated it clearly that he is the only country that he wants to visit. He wants to visit is Ethiopia. That itself tells us a lot. So this is what you have said. Really, we take it as it is. So the next one is, how does Addis Ababa blend developmental activities with its rich cultural heritage and different artifacts that it has? How should those things be blended? There are different developmental activities here in Addis Ababa these days. And there are, long-aged historical artifacts or tourist sites. How are they going on? What do you say as a person from the tourism sector? Are they going on complementary, congruent, in a way that really manifests its heritage management? What have you observed?
A bit of both, I would say. But on the considering the international travelers, they prefer the earlier ones, the National Museum, Ethnographic, and Toto. And the new ones are more of, they captivate the domestic ones. Because we have a little zoo in the Unity Park, but in the worldwide, there are many huge zoos that you cannot finish in a day. So some, they don't want to see animals in a captivity, so they prefer simply to focus on the heritage or artifacts. So for us, it's a way to keep those heritages intact and to continue promoting them as they are, and the new ones being open also, we propose them as they are. But the old ones, the maintenance should be there. It's a must. There is a department from the heritage. I forgot the full title. It's under the Ministry of Tourism now. So they do the preservation. Yes, they do that. But mostly they go side by side. And there is one recently opened, the pottery around Hafenjober. That is one thing to show the indigenous knowledge of pottery making. So I don't think most people go there to visit. It's a cooperation, and where anyone can go and see end-to-end activities, and also can understand the Ethiopian way of pottery making. So that is one thing also to keep, because heritage are not only the items that we have long time ago, but also what we do in our daily activities. Unless we keep them, if they continue to be replaced by plastics or other nickel things, so those people who have that knowledge, the knowledge by itself is also heritage. So keeping the people who have those knowledge is also something that we have to pay attention. Most people think that heritage is only static living, static things that are not movable. But worldwide nowadays, it's known that people with indigenous knowledge are also considered as heritage. So even those, in the books that we have in the parchments, those are also something to be very preserved. Not only on the books, but also the people who are doing those. Yeah, like the skin, the goat skin making and softening it. Those who write by natural herbs. There are a few people, not like we used to be before the modern publication machines. We were using those traditional things. So we have to keep that. Japan and China are well known in preserving this indigenous knowledge. So, and we are very rich. We have contributed a lot to the world by our books, be it looted or lent. So we have to take pride of those knowledge and keep it and transfer it for the next generation.